It's real talk with Traci Fant. Alright, shout out to Kobe Beats for that hot intro, and welcome to Real Talk with Traci Fant. Today's show is going to be awesome. Live in the studio, we have Mr. Johnnie Savory, Bruce Wilson, Candace Patterson, Ricky Pulley Jr., and Derrick Blakheart Goodwin. And my girl Julie Lewis. What's up, Julie?
You doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. Hey, so did you have a good weekend?
I did. I've been on the internet a lot. I know my Facebook friends are just really tired of me posting all these articles about the Missouri killing, but it's really been bothering me.
Oh, yeah, and it should bother you. In fact, not only should the Missouri killing bother you, you know what I'm saying, or bother us, but I mean, all these killings is going around lately. And it's not only black on black crime, it's just crime, period,
Right.
Tired of seeing the death rate of our young people going up. But the Missouri thing, that really set the bar. I mean, people, they're going off.
Right. But, I think that one thing's going to come out of this is a lot of open discussion about race and inequality. You got a lot of people talking. You got some people that's against it, and some people are just saying, you know what, if you out here and you wilding out, then you deserve to be punished.
Wow.
You got a lot of people, it's all kind of different views on it.
Oh, yeah, and I saw a lot of people, even comment that since they say he stole the cigars or whatever, that he deserved to get killed, deserved what happened to him, when actually the officer didn't even stop him for that.
That's exactly right.
Him and his friend were just walking in the middle of the street, and it just went off from there. And so, once again, that's a terrible thing for a mother to see her child lay in the street for 4.5 hours.
Right.
Dead.
And they didn't even cover them up or anything. And I was thinking about the little kids that are out there in the neighborhood. They're going to have to think about that for the rest of their life, that got laid out there in the street like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that it creates an insensitivity towards it. You know what I'm saying? Because even on the news, instead of them showing us celebrating each other, they're always showing us degrading or putting each other down or killing each other. And I think that even with the mass media, that should change as well. Because it's all about what we're showing our children and our young people. So far, when everybody that I've talked to, they basically said that they're not insensitive to it, but they've gotten used to it. And that's sad.
It is.
I mean, how do you get used to your peers dying?
Exactly.
How do you get used to the T-shirts and the candlelight visuals and all that, and the mothers that are crying and mourning their children? And how do you get used to police brutality?
Yeah.
Because not only has his case stricken a nerve, but also the case in New York.
Yes.
With Mr. Gardner and the chokehold. That was terrible.
Yes.
And I think that people should have really been outraged by that. And I think they were, but I guess because things just happened so quickly, and the officer was I'm not even sure if he was fired, but released or whatever.
Well, I think they are getting ready to they're getting ready to do a march over the the Verrazano Bridge. I think Al Sharpton is leading that up, so hopefully something's good is gonna come out of that too.
Well, hopefully, because this marching thing, man. I mean, it's cool and everything, but we gotta have an aftermath.
I think so.
We have to have something else besides marches and rallies. There has to be a next step.
Right.
And who better discuss that next step in a few seconds will be my guest, my main guest, my first guest, Mr. Johnnie Savory. But before I introduce him, we got a song entitled Unwind by Moody Black and Kimby the Goddess. Let's unwind, kick off our shoes, strip off the day. Nothing quite compares to quality time. Let's unwind, kick off our shoes, strip off the day. Nothing quite compares to quality time. Let's unwind, kick off our shoes, strip off the day. Nothing quite compares to quality time. Let's unwind. shoes, strip off the day. Nothing quite compares to quality time. Hey baby, how was your day? It is an unwritten rule we have told each other when entering. So my first guest was wrongfully convicted when he was just 14 years old, and it led him to be incarcerated for 30 years until his DNA cleared him. It pleases me to welcome Mr. Johnnie Savory.
Thank you, Traci, and all your staff.
Thank you for being here. Wow, 30 years.
Yes.
14 years old.
From the age of 14 to 44.
Wow. So what were you convicted of? What were they
Double homicide of my friend James and his sister Connie, 14 and 19 years old.
Wow. So I know you remember that day.
I can't forget it.
So what happened, if you can just kind of break it down, just so, were you in school? Did they come and get you out of school?
No, that's exactly where they came and got me from. They came and got me from school. My principal escorted me to the teacher's lounge. This is 7 days after the crime now, because I was allegedly the last outsider to see them alive. So, but the true perpetrator was within the family. Like most cases, you know the people that come into your home. And then I come from a little small town called Pulley, Illinois. It's 95% white. So the black community, all communities know what takes place within that community. We have a bad tendency of trying to hide the darkness of things that go on in our community, because one of the things that we do not hold our own people accountable. We often talked about the white men and what they did in slavery, but we remember that actuality it was the blacks that put us on those slave ships for those white folks. And that's something so painful that we don't want to discuss it, but till this very day, we have been our own worst enemies.
True.
And through the grace of God, that I've had so many wonderful people across this country, United States, and around the world to weigh in on my situation. God, I'm thank God that God chose me for it. Yeah. I didn't understand what it undertaken. I didn't understand what I would be leading the way for. But it's time, as you notice, around the United States and the world, and the Innocence Project has grown since I entered it.
And the Innocence Project is basically a group of people, right?
Oh God, Northwestern brought me home. Mm-hmm. Northwestern, Jenner and Block, Western and Strong. People don't understand these names, but these are the most powerful law firms and institutions in the country.
So they looked up your case?
No, baby, I pursued them because I wrote letters every day.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how many thousands of letters I wrote to our most prominent leaders. Everybody from Vernon Jordan to Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I currently work for, to Farrakhan, to People Bryson, to Cornel West. And I just did not get the response that I was looking for. And I realized it wasn't their fault. It was the people's fault that's in between that received the letter. A 15-year-old child telling you that at 14 years old, I was born on the same day, Emmett Till, same month, just different years. Emmett Till was 1941, mine was 1962, and he was murdered in 1955 in Money, Mississippi. How ironic, right here in the South. Right. But our lives were similar. I was a bubbly little youth, but it was the fact that his mother opened his grave for all the world to see that it impacted all the civil rights. What we see today, Martin Luther King, I don't take nothing from him, I don't take nothing from Martin Luther King, but it showed the society, thank God for television.
Exactly.
Because in television it showed how vicious you was to us. I don't care if it's the 4 little girls that was bombed in the Birmingham church. I don't care if it was Emmett Till that was killed for no reason whatsoever. Talking about you whistled at a white woman. Here I was in Pure, Illinois. Young man
so when they sentenced you 30 years, of course your mind
didn't
just...
sentence me to 30 years.
They sent you to more, 50
to 100
That's
years,
right,
but that was only after they had sentenced me to death.
That's right.
At 14.
Right. Yeah.
They wanted to kill me.
So of course after that sentence, you didn't know, like right then, to contact these people. You didn't say,
No.
contact.
Immediately I started coming because we had Ebony, we had Jet, we had...
So you just kind of did your own research?
Oh, yes, indeed. I immediately did that because...
If you can do that with just those books, and we got all this stuff online now.
No, they, for some reason or another, we have not followed the pattern. Mm-hmm. Let me do it like this. Native American, after they were conquered, they made one statement. They said, and rather than live a slave, we'll die free men.
That's right.
Have you ever seen a Native American pick cotton? The answer is no.
That's true.
Okay, then we went from that stage to the Jewish people, who in their Holocaust, 6-7 million died.
Right.
But we don't even want to acknowledge our own Holocaust, where over 100 million died.
Oh, yeah.
So, other words, there's something wrong with how we see ourselves, and not seeing ourselves as a diamond in the rough, as Malcolm put it. It's so sad because we liberated all nations on the face of this earth. We the principal fighters for the Revolutionary War. We the principal fighters for the Civil War. We the principal fighters for the World War I and World War II. And forgive me, can I use the N word? Because I don't want to.
You can't use the N word.
So we just use the N.
Don't use no cuss words on this show.
Watch this here.
I appreciate
I
it.
use the N. No. But in order for our people to understand, we had the Tuskegee Airmen. This country said no N people could fly airplanes. We better understand how this world looked at us. We flew 600 missions, didn't lose one airplane. We liberated Europe. We liberated the United States of America. Now, it's so sad that we are principal inventors from Dr. Charles Drew, from the open heart surgery, but we never accept our worth in this society. I don't know how we look at each other, but we should be looking at each other like we are a gift from God. And what we had to go through for 300 years, you was not allowed to marry. You was not allowed to have the basic human rights. Our babies were taken from the wombs of our women. And as we were degraded, as we plowed up the plantations from cotton to corn, we have never embraced one another.
So that's actually what's going on now.
Exactly.
Today's
It's
society.
exactly what's going on right now.
Exactly. So when did you find out that your freedom was coming from 30 years? You know what I'm saying?
Never, not one time, ever wavered, was weak, that I didn't believe that God's vision that he gave me, that it would come to pass. I'm going to show you how ironic that was. I knew that I would go back to the same town in which I was wrongly convicted and receive the justice that, I'm going to say justice, I'm going to say truth, because justice goes out the window. And justice is a preventive measure to keep injustice from taking place. I want people to understand what justice is. Justice don't come 30 years after you've been victimized.
Right, exactly.
Justice comes to protect you from harm. My community was made up of grandmothers, mothers, aunts, big mama, and whatever. Now, and the reason I didn't mention no men, I'm sorry, but the men were on the other side. Police officers, people trying to put me in there. Now, my dad told me a profound statement, and he used the N-word when he do it, but I'm not going to use it here. He said that my worst nightmare would be an N-word with an officer. I didn't understand what he meant, but at the time that black police officers entered the police force, they had to prove to their white counterparts that they control their black community. Now, there's some people right here in this staff that know what I mean.
Yeah.
In other words, they became more abusive. They the ones that went out and done this wrong, just like putting us on those slave ships. Kings and queens are guilty because God truly, we are the gatekeepers of this world.
So, Julie, you got anything? You want to ask?
Yeah, one question I want to ask. I know you were 14, you were young. Did you take a plea then, or you maintained your innocence the whole time and they still gave you all those years?
God blessed me to maintain my innocence. Because I maintained my innocence, I was crucified all along the way. Because I said I was innocent, unlike the lashes of Roots and Kuta Kinte, they wanted me to say what my name was. Tell me what that was. They wanted me to say I was Toby. Well, guess what? I never said I was Toby. So God...
So did you go straight to the big boy prison?
Yes.
You went straight at
No.
14? Okay.
I went to what they call juvenile... In Illinois, they have you bonded over there as an adult at whatever age, at least from 14. At that time, I was bonded over, and I went to what they call maximum security for juveniles. Maximum security for juveniles, I stayed there till I was 18 years old, and I was returned to trial by my attorney, which was Ted Godfrey, the head of the Public Defender's Office, who also became my friend. And he told them that he said, Johnny, I'm going to bring you back. Now, mind you, I had no evidence against me whatsoever. I had no witnesses against me whatsoever. This shouldn't be shocking to our people. We're the only people on this continent right here now in America that have 5 birth certificates. Although we don't like to use the word, the first birth certificate was N-word. The next one was colored. The next one was Negro. The next one was black. The next one was African American. No one has 5 birth certificates.
That's right.
But they let you know the mindset of the people in this country. Although we liberated this country from the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, to the World War I and II, and Vietnam, we were never respected as a people. And I don't blame the white man for that. I blame us because we should have promoted ourselves, and we don't do that. And I'm thankful being on your show where we get a chance to express those kind of concerns here, because we're in jeopardy. Central Park joggers, I don't know if you are familiar with them, but it happened in the early 80s.
I just
but
saw
guess
that.
what?
Right.
They just settled their case for $40 million.
That was crazy though. All those young men.
Baby.
That was crazy.
No, you think that's crazy. From Chicago, we had the Inglewood 5 and the Dixmoor 4 who just came home. They just settled their case for $40 million. And what I'm saying to you is not the money, because no amount of money can compensate for what we have been through as a people. But how did we allow people to come into our community and take our babies away, our young black men and women? Because Nicole Harris is the only black woman in the state of Illinois that she was freed after being wrongly convicted.
Yeah, she sure. I read that. I read about that. We're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
We got a song called Lion of Judah, Mr. Johnny Savory on one accord, and then we're going to come right back with my next guest. We want you to stay right here, though, Mr. Savory, because my next guest is Mr. Bruce Wilson. His son has been basically tried and convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison. So please stay tuned, everybody.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! One accord! Let's get it! Put your hands on it! Put your hands on it! Every worshiper, every praiser, let's sing together. Hallelujah! Lord my Savior, King of Kings, say Lion of Judah, Lion of Judah, ruler. Before we come into this house with thanksgiving, anybody came to give God thanks today? Praise in our heart. Lord, we come with the love of God. We praise your name. Hey, one accord, sing it again, sing it again. We praise your name. Let's go. Hey.
It pleases me to introduce my next guest that just joined us in the studio. It pleases me to introduce my next guest that just joined us in the studio. He's currently fighting for his son Elijah's freedom. Elijah was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Welcome, Mr. Bruce Wilson. What's up, Bruce?
I'm doing first.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right, so you've heard Mr. Savory's story,
I have.
and I'm sure it kind of struck a lot of nerves in you.
It did, and it resonated to me because of the fight that I got with my son. Unfortunately, when I hear stories like that, it saddens me, because I know for me to fight for my son, I don't see it necessary to have to wait 30 years for a man to come home. That's why I'm fighting so hard for my son. I don't want to have to wait 30 years. I'm fighting now.
Exactly.
Some tell me that they're upset, want me to sit down, and I say, no, I'm upset with them because I want you to stand up.
And kind of break it down to Mr. Savory and to the audience is listening. why you're fighting so hard for your son's freedom.
Well, when I talk to people, the first thing they tell me is that everybody that's convicted, I always love to say that they're innocent. And the first thing I tell them that if you were to listen to some of the stories, you'll see that a lot of people come home with the news story of free after 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years. They're found that they were wrongfully convicted and they're being released. Of course, they'll make them plead to some crazy charge so they won't have to pay them any money, but they'll let them come home. Well, there are a lot of people in prison that are wrongfully convicted. So that's the reason I'm fighting for my son.
I think it's like 10,000, right, Mr. Savory? They say it's about 10,000.
There's no such number because wrongly convicted have a duality number with it. One, it can mean that your son and daughter is actually innocent, or the other one can mean that the prosecutors did something illegal to put your child or your friend or your brother in jail.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, exactly. So, and that's what I tell people is that, it's proven that there are people that are incarcerated right now today that are wrongfully convicted. And so that's why I'm fighting so hard for my son. And, and hopefully I can get him back in court so we can, have a fair and trial for him. Because there are people that are incarcerated today that are wrongfully convicted.
And you've been fighting pretty hard. I just attended a rally that you had this past Friday. And your heart is totally in it. And I understand because I have 3 sons and a daughter. So I understand exactly, where you're coming from with this. And also, you do a lot of fundraisers for them as well. Car washes, fish fries, a lot of different things. Also, your wife and his mom as well. They've also, the whole family's doing it.
Well, the thing about the legal system is that it is not set up for someone that does not have funds. That's the whole thing about the justice system.
It's true.
It takes money to fight the system. If you are charged with a crime, and if you do not have the funds to defend yourself, then they're going to convict you. That's just, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Julie, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you if she had anything. You look like you over there. You thinking about a question you want to ask them. So you're gonna.
Yes, Mr. Wilson. My question is, I know you've had a couple of protests or rallies. What is it going to take to get him back in the court? Is it so many signatures, a petition? What's required to get him back in the court?
Well, the biggest thing right now, the reason that I have the rallies is that I want to keep it going, keep his name going, so that everyone can understand that we're not going to sit down on this. That's the biggest thing. The first thing that I have to do, though, is raise the funds for attorneys. Whenever you're doing a appellate process, it's not cheap. The numbers that I have right now is between $25,000 and $30,000, and that's a good little bit of money. So that's what I'm trying to do now. That's the reason I'm having car washes and different things like that. But as far as the rallies, I have those so I can keep it going. I do not want people to forget about him, because when you get sentenced like that, when you get a 40-year sentence, 30-year sentence, people tend to forget who you are. When this first happened, there was such a outcry about him. There were people who were just completely upset, and I don't want anyone to forget who he is, what he was about, and I want people to remember him. So that's the reason I have the rallies.
Mr. Savory, you got any advice for him or anything you can offer him?
One of the things I love is because I told you I was coming back on my own.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that makes it difficult for this struggle is the lack of knowledge in it. What I can provide for his father and his family is the knowledge that they don't possess. And what that is picking the right attorneys. We pick so many wrong attorneys that we don't know who the right attorneys is. But yet I know who the right attorneys is because I've been in it for so long. And I realize that one of the things that I'm doing as an individual, Noah did not build the ark. Reason I use the ark is because I want to tell you that Willie Nelson, for the farm aid, black farm aid, and I don't want you to think I'm straying from what we're talking about. He did a bus tour across the United States, and he brought awareness to the small farmer, and he raised millions of dollars in order to address the issues of the small farmer. Well, I'm doing what they call the Innocent Tour.
Right.
In the Innocent Tour, if you go on my website, there's an innocent face in all 50 stars. We need to raise the consciousness of America and the world we live in order for your son to come home and the many others to come home.
Can you so are you willing to stay and wait and talk to him afterwards?
Oh, no
because
doubt.
I need you
but
to connect with him.
I want people to understand what the innocence story is, and I want them to go on my website, thesavoryfiles.org, because it has never been done in the history of America or this world. Mm-hmm. It's a reason God chose me as an to go forward. I'm not going to build the bus tour. Right. We all going to be a part of the bus tour. His son is many other thousands of sons and daughters. Oh, yeah. Let us not forget that. And when we come together in our own networking, it increases our net worth. Exactly. To bring this to the attention of the governor, because his son may not come home through the court system. Right. He may come home through the governor of the state, wherever he's convicted at. Right. And in them, all these states, they have what you call a pardon. The pardon is based on actual innocence. And when it's based on actual innocence, then the governor have the executive power to release his son and any other people who have been wrongly convicted. We have been wrongly convicted since we've been in the country. Exactly. So Bruce, are you willing to stay around?
Well, of course I am. Okay. You know, any type you can get knowledge for someone who's been there, been through it. Okay. See, I pride myself on knowing things, but I also pride myself on being willing to learn things. Exactly. So anytime you can gain knowledge from someone who has been there, I don't want someone who hasn't been bitten by a snake to tell me what a snake bite feels like. Yes. I want somebody who's been bitten by the snake to tell me what I need to do to rid myself of the poison. That's right. So this is someone who's been bitten by the snake. That's who I want to deal with. Definitely. So I need you to stick around right. Then, and that way you can talk to Mr. Savory after the show, and he can kind of tell you the different things maybe you probably don't know, which I know it's a lot you don't know because it's a learning process. I'm sure it was a learning process for him as well. Right. So stick around because we got to take a quick sponsorship break. And then my next guest is fighting for her cousin's freedom. Her name is Candace Patterson, and her cousin's name is Skyy Mims, and she's a big part of this Free Your Skyy movement. And so I'm going to have her on next. But, Bruce, thank you for coming. All right, we in this together. Hey, you're right about that. All right, then, thank you. And sit tight, wait for us in the lobby, all right? Thank you so much. Thanks for being on Real Talk with Traci Fant. That's Real Talk. Sounds good to me.
Shout out to our sponsors, JG Bail Bonding, located in Greer, South Carolina. Open 24 hours, 7 days a week for all your bail bonding needs. Call Jamie Graham at 864-877-6200. And Fantastic Lawn Care pressure cleaning needs. Your lawn is maintained or your home or business pressure needs to be cleaned. Call Jeff at 864-787-1204. Also, we have a business promo. Dr. Melissa Aiken-Tate. She is a holistic health counselor who specializes in detoxification for weight loss and provides holistic health advice to naturally improve conditions such as lower arthritic back pain, asthma, fibroid tumors, health, heart, and more. Visit draikentate.com today for your holistic health counseling and natural solutions.
Simply says this: thy loving kindness is better than life. Thy loving kindness is better than life. And your tender mercies are so much sweeter. So much sweeter. Thy loving kindness is better than life. Thy loving kindness is better than life. And your tender mercies are so much sweeter. For your goodness and mercy shall follow me all my days. I will worship forever with my hands raised. Now come on and put your hands together and clap them like you love Jesus on tonight.
And that was You Are Good to Me by Traci Carter Russell. And right now, I'm introducing a lady who is very outspoken in the Free Your Skyy movement. Introducing the lovely Miss Candace Patterson. Hey, Candace.
Hey, Traci, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good.
So, share with Mr. Savory about Skyy and the movement that you're involved in, and why you feel she's wrongfully convicted.
Okay. Well, Skyy has been falsely accused of murder in Dalton, Georgia. The witnesses stated that the person that committed the crime was 5'7", 5'8". Skyy is 6'2" and a half, which is a big difference. They also stated that the person that committed the crime is Middle Eastern. Skyy is American. She knows no other languages other than English. I also looked up a study where they said 10,000 innocent people are convicted of crimes that they did not commit per year.
And like Mr. Savory said, you can't even put a number on it, though. You know, he said it's terrible. I mean, taken from a guy that was convicted, tried, convicted, sentenced to basically life, 50 to 100 years. I mean, that's basically life.
Right.
Got out of jail when he was 44 years old. In there for 30 years, pleading for his innocence, telling everybody that he didn't do it. And like he said, he didn't waver on his innocence because his belief in God. He knew that God put him there for a reason. And I think that's strong. That's a strong statement.
Right.
Because you put me in jail for 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I learned my lesson, God. You know, that's a terrible thing.
That's
so,
what my cousin's doing right now. Like, you know, I didn't do this. Why am I still here?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of hard from my end to say, you know, well, we're fighting for you. If you don't see anything, then it's
Right.
like, well, what are you guys actually doing? I'm still here.
Right. So, Mr. Savory, I know you'll have plenty of advice for her as well, but just hearing her story, convenience store clerk murdered in cold blood, and they came a couple of days later and just arrested her. Said that they thought she fit the description. However, she's a very tall female, and the perpetrator is not even, like 5'7", 5'8". She's at least 6'1".
I had the opportunity, and you know, Clint Eastwood played a lot of movies. But how ironic, Clint Eastwood played a reporter in a very scenario just like yours. And there was a brother who came into the convenience store, and the attendant had just been shot. And he tried to help the attendant. He ended up on death row. They had already inserted in his veins to kill him.
Wow.
And this reporter, now I try to tell people, before you hire a lawyer, hire the investigator. Why is the investigator more important than a lawyer? Because you get to control how and what the investigator does based on the information that you take in. Lawyers hire investigators when they're on the right page, but most of them are not on the right page. And therefore, the investigation gets lost. But when you hire an investigator, the investigator, he or she will go out and ascertain the facts that you need in order to prevail in this circumstance. Now, with your situation, Innocence Projects all around the country will be willing to take it. But they're not going to take it unless somebody credible comes in and say, hey, you got an issue.
Right.
Okay? So that's why what you do is more important than anything that we're doing. Why? Because this is media. Why? Because black media has been absent from this equation. Let me be perfectly clear. And it's sad because we have absolutely no accountability within our community. You can't go to the politician you voted for. You can't go to the clergy that your mama and dad and grandmama been attendants in the church for 100 years. There's something wrong with that picture because the church used to be the pillar of our community, and we should be able to go to them
You hit
in
that
order
on the
to
head,
address
boy,
the
I'm
issues.
telling you. Wow.
Go back to the woman that was it. I don't know when I said Black Velvet or whatever. It was a movie about a sister who, when they came with the Rockefeller law to lock up black communities for drugs and what is it? That's it. Go.
American Violent.
Go look
You
at
should
it.
have known she was going to know what
As
it was.
a black woman, as a black man, sit down and look at that movie,
Wow.
and you will see the tenaciousness of a mother. They said, well, we want you to tell us who's selling drugs and here, and she didn't know nothing.
And check this out. I don't want people to get this wrong. We're not just focusing on black people that are wrongfully accused
plenty
of
whites.
Exactly.
There's plenty
exactly.
whites.
And it's plenty Hispanic too.
Black,
saying?
white, let's
Hispanic,
do poor people across the
Poor
board.
people, that's right, that's
All
right, that's right.
But at the same time,
Because I like to put that disclosure out. 'Cause I don't like people to say, "Oh, y'all was on
I'm
there talking about
sorry,
this and
the
that."
majority of the whites are in the Montana,
Yeah.
Utah, out that way.
Country boys.
However, in the inner cities,
Oh
in
yeah,
the South,
oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
oh yeah. We eating them up. You're
It's
right.
us.
You're right. You're right.
And why do I know it's us? Because I attend the Innocence Projects all over the world.
Man.
Now, in the Innocence Project this year will be in Orlando, Florida. All you got to do is go online and look up Innocence Network Conference and be in Orlando, Florida when it take place. We have an Innocence Project in South Africa. We have one in China now. It's amazing, but we don't hear the way in none of them.
Wow.
We do not allow our voice. Let me just tell you, Brian Stevens in Alabama, love him. Look him up and you'll understand how much of his life he sacrificed. Look up Senator Rodney Ellis in Texas. You will see a man that took it before the Republican Texas Senate and moved them to tears and had them change the Texas law. Wow. You will see that there's many brothers and sisters, what you call unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right. That's right.
But we are not supporting them.
Wow. So
You understand? Until it knock on your door,
Yeah.
you don't care about what's going on with the other brothers and sisters until it knock on your door. That's where you crazy at.
So hey, Candace, you gonna stick around so you can talk to Mr. Savory
Yes,
about
yes,
Skyy? I
yes.
definitely need you to because you need to get with this man.
Yes.
So we can get with this innocent project because if not, we just gonna be sharing petitions all day long.
Say it
Right.
again.
You know what I'm saying? So
Sure
we
you
need to
right.
get with him, and he's on point with this movement. So we need to get involved with him. So Candace, thank you so much for being on, and sit tight in the lobby and wait for Mr. Savory so he can give you some more information on that.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thanks, Candace. All right, welcome back. My next guest organized a phenomenal rally that took place last Thursday in Greenville, South Carolina, in reference to the murder of Mike Brown, a young man killed last week in Ferguson, Missouri by police. Please welcome Mr. Ricky Pulley. What's up, Ricky?
Nothing much.
How you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
First of all, congratulations. On the rally, the success.
Thank you.
I was truly proud of you, young people. Even though I sat with you guys and listened to you all. Just even have an opportunity to sit there and mentor you and just watch you guys work. That was a great thing. So congratulations again on that.
Thank you.
So I know you heard Mr. Savory's story, right?
I have. I've heard bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. And then you also put on Facebook how you fear a lot of times just being a young black man because you're also in the clergy. Am I correct?
I am. I'm a youth pastor at Flat Rock Baptist Church in Piedmont, South Carolina.
So he's a youth pastor, but because his dress, he wears a baseball cap, different things like that. They'll whoop whoop, pull him over, stop him in the mall, tell him to take off his baseball cap, all kind of stuff. And I think it's sad that our young men, especially our young black men, have to walk around afraid or ashamed of their own appearance. Because of the way they feel like people are looking at them. Yeah. Ricky, what do you take away from all this that you're hearing today?
I'm in a range of emotions, from being, frustrated and upset to being heartbroken and sad. It just depends on what hour you catch me and where how I feel about all of it. From Mike Brown to hearing Mr. Savory's story to all of it. I don't really know how to feel. Just being honest, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel protected by those who are supposed to protect and serve, or if I'm supposed to be afraid of them. So I just don't know.
And I'm not gonna lie. The other night, I swear, my son wasn't at home. My oldest son, and for the first time in a long time, I was scared. It's something about him not being there shook me up to the point where I called him, and then we got into an argument on the phone. And I know he's not a little kid anymore, but it was just like just be careful. Just please, just be careful. And I never really had that, except for with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
With LaPortia, I'm always feeling like something gonna happen. Oh my God, you at Cream. Oh my God, you at this place. Oh my God, and I know they're gonna look out for us certain places. Shout out to Josh and Uncles at Cream. I know they look out for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But late at night, you guys, when y'all grow up, which you guys are young adults, you hang out or do whatever. And it's a fear. Mr. Savory, what can you tell this young brother about his fear?
First of all, he already took the right steps by having a rally to becoming, and thank God for his conscientious enough to be able to step out, because my employer, which is Reverend Jackson, he allows me to have a platform to bring all these situations to the forefront. And Lord knows I done dealt with everything from murder to putting me in charge of various organized and events all over this city. So bringing me here to Greenville, which is where he lives and where he was born at, is truly an honor. And the Mike Brown situation is all over the United States, from Trayvon Martin to Stephon Watts. Stephon Watts was the 15-year-old boy who was shot and blowed his brains out, autistic child, standing next to his father while his mother slept in the bed. It was before this different Trayvon Martin situation, but it was right there in the city of Chicago. And it saddens me that the black people's voice was silent based on this autistic child. A friend of mine, Gwendolyn, who also works with Reverend Jackson, is in the process of putting out first responders' response to our children that are mentally retarded, because my sister was mentally handicapped, and also to deal with all these situations. And now they want to take the Mike Brown situation and say, well, he had just stole something from a store. They ain't got nothing to do with this situation.
And Julie, you were at the rally. I mean, and everything. I mean, you were very excited about being there, but then you were very emotional as well.
Yes, I was. I was trying to hold back the tears, but I'm really proud of you, Ricky, for putting this together.
Yes.
I went home that night. I watched the media coverage. I watched Inside Edition. It showed that there were a lot of rallies that were held that night, and it just made me full to know that Greenville was able to pull that together. And you had all kinds of races, that were there, and even Jesse Jackson, for him showing up. I mean, it really was a good thing. Yeah. And keep doing what you're doing.
And we need the progressiveness for young people.
Right.
And I want to say this to our older people that's in the church. Stop doing what you're doing and embrace our young people, because it is their voice. Reverend was in his early 20s when he led the strikes here in this city right here.
Right.
And he pointed out to me so eloquently about about the different elements here in this city that wouldn't even allow them to go to the library.
So Ricky, moving forward, what do you have any plans? You know what I'm saying? I know that we're going to do some type of youth rally, hopefully soon. But other than that, do you have any plans for Greenville or just for yourself?
For myself, I'm going to keep doing my youth pastorship. I'm also getting ready to start culinary school tomorrow, actually. But I'm also looking at doing some things to make sure that we're involved in the community, to make sure that we're proactive so we don't have a Mike Brown situation.
Exactly.
To ask of some things from our police officers as well as our elected officials to make sure that we better relationships, strengthen relationships, so that when I call the police or when I see a police behind me in my rearview mirror, I'm not automatically thinking, what have I done wrong? What am I doing wrong? Or am I going to make it home to my mother tonight?
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. And I mean, that's to me, that's a scary thought. Like I said, being a parent of young people, just knowing that you guys are afraid like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought to myself, 2 years ago it was hoodies up. Now it's hands up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what's next? I think we need to just stay prayed up, right?
I would agree with you, and I would also say that if for as many prayers as we send up, we got to make sure our feet are moving.
Exactly.
To see the change up. I like what Drake says on one of the songs where he says, I pray about it, then I go get it. I like that, because we have to embody that attitude that, it's not enough just to send up prayers, but we got to make sure that our actions meet up. Our prayer lives and our lifestyles got to work together.
Exactly. Ricky, you got anything else you want to say or ask Mr. Say?
Man, I appreciate your story. I appreciate your bravery, your resilience. To stay encouraged, to keep moving, to tell someone else about your story and the work you do. And we appreciate you. We love you, man. And if there's anything we can do to help you as you move forward,
It's a lot that we can do to help one another, because in this is all of our struggles. And for the first time, we have to remember what we did to come out of slavery. It took all of us to come out of slavery, not one. And we had suffered a horrendous, and I want brothers and sisters not to forget what we went through for them 400 years. Because when you do, we don't have the connection with one another that we should have. We are a gift from God, and we should look at each other like that.
All right, and Ricky, I'm gonna need you I want you to sit tight too, just so you can talk to Mr. Savory afterwards.
Will do.
You know, we just got an hour show, but
Gotcha.
I want you to sit tight because I want you guys to really be able to touch hands with him and talk to him and even pray for him.
Gotcha.
You're good at praying, I know.
I
So,
try.
Yeah, that's what's up.
All right.
Hey, so thank you, Ricky, for
Thank
being
you,
on.
thank
And
you.
my next guest right quick is Mr. Derrick Blakheart, right after this song. So my next guest is a phenomenal young photographer, businessman, entrepreneur, basically. He has taken his talents to many stages, including TEDx. It pleases me to introduce Mr. Derrick Blakheart Goodwin. What's up, Derrick?
What's going on, Trey?
How you doing?
You know, finally got over here. Finally
I
got
know
on the
that's
show.
right. So welcome to the show. So you heard Mr. Savory's story.
Mm-hmm.
You're a young black man, of course. What's your feelings about everything?
I mean, what's going on right now is like we got a lot of heartache and a lot of devastation with people and mostly the cops and everything, you know. Like Mr. Savory said, growing up, you know, it was a lot rougher then, and seeing Emmett Till and Martin Luther King go through what they did.
Right.
And then now the new youth having to see our people beat down in the streets because we're walking home from school, or just like the other week in Anderson, the mother, father, child shot up, drive-by shootings, you know.
Yeah.
It's like we stand up and we rally for things when things happen. I think, which is nothing's wrong with that. And sometimes we fight each other, you know, or go against each other, and we don't fight back the people who are actually bringing on the devastation to us. So we can go out and fight in the clubs all weekend and go fight whoever, but you want to stand up for what's right, you know. And if you don't stand up for something, you're gonna fall for anything. That's what I always say, you know.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Mr. Savory, this young man right here, he's done a lot in the community as far as in the business aspect, and I'm sure he's seen a lot of challenges or whatever and faced a lot of different things. But your advice, I mean, for him, like your movement, you're basically solidifying it. You know what I'm saying? Your face is all over it.
When I listened to him just a few minutes ago, I thought about David Banner. See, David Banner, we can give everybody credit in the world, but David Banner, when the Louisiana tragedy happened, he was on the ground. He took off his own shoes. He took off his own clothes and gave them to the people who were suffering. But we don't want to give our brothers no respect. Ludacris and the various other brothers who do a lot for our community within inside of TI.
Yeah.
So I want to go sit down on the beach and sit down and relax, because I've been on this struggle longer than most have lived.
No, that's
so
right.
I want to enjoy my life. I don't have no children. I want him to be the leader. I want to empower our young people, but all we got to do is surround them.
Exactly.
The Jessicas, the Farrakhan's, the Cornell West, and I'm thankful for Reverend and Robert introduced me to you, and Shamika, his sister, and other people down here in Greenville, and give them some love, because they out there on the battlefield too. If we empower our youth, we don't have to do no whole lot.
Wow.
Because guess what? They got a vision too.
That's deep.
And
That's
the
deep.
vision to me is like when Saul, he said, well, I need a great warrior. David was already in the backyard.
That's true.
Moses and Mama sent her down to Pharaoh's house. Joseph was in Pharaoh's house. We got to recognize our young people are already in the house. Stop hindering them
That's right. Empower.
based on what they understood when they went through. And let these young people use the gift that God gave them to take us on into the next level, because they are the future. We just the teachers of that. But let them do what God put inside of them to do.
Right. David, he compared. I mean, I called you David. He compared you to David Banner.
That's what's up.
That's what I'm saying. You'll take that, won't you?
Oh yeah, I've been a musical artist for like 21
That's
years.
right. He's
now,
an artist anyway.
You know, and I appreciate good music, and David Banner is certainly a guy of the community that that's done a lot of stuff for the community.
He said he said they don't value each other.
Right.
Because we're not. You know what I'm saying? He said
we're
the
not
police.
empowering.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
See, and speaking on empowering the youth, I'm glad Mr. Savory brought that up. If we don't implement change, without change, there's no forward progress. Of course. Yesterday, me and my good friend, we've been friends since we was kids. We started a foundation called All About the Youth Foundation. Shouts out to Anthony Abercrombie. We did a free haircuts yesterday from like 10 to 6 p.m. in the Highlands Apartments area. Part-time truckers shot them. They provided hot dogs and food and drinks, and we basically got together, me, my friend Maurice, and my brother Anthony Abercrombie, and we cut hair for single mothers and parents who can't afford it. And as a parent, I understand how stressful going back to school can be. You got school supplies, people need haircuts. In this day and time, I've been cutting my hair. I've been a barber of 21 years. I'm a master barber too. So I can't do nothing else. I can cut hair. But
so we probably need to partner. You know what I'm saying? With our organization, not during this time, but maybe later on, like October, November, December.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? After the big school drive rush or whatever. Julie, you got something you want to ask? Or you want to say to Derrick?
Yeah, it's Derrick. One thing that I want to ask for you is, I know you got your hands in a lot of different things. You're a photographer, is that correct? You do a lot of different things. What can you suggest to the youth today? Should they dib and dab in different things, or should they find that one true passion that they have and just focus on it?
Oh, wow. That's a gray area question. Okay, I can answer the best way I can. I'm an Aries by day, so I'm very driven, and being in the military, multitasking and everything like that. I think basically if you love what you do, it's a passion for it. Like, I have a business degree and a partial master degree in social work. I study YouTube for 2 hours a day for the last 2 years. People look at my work and think I've been in school for it, been there 15 years. But if you have a passion for something, just go for it. You'll feel it in your gut, and you'll know that the time is right and that's what you want to do. So you can be anything you want to do. Just stay in school, keep doing the right thing.
Mr. Savory?
They say, and I'm going to answer your question, they say, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none.
That's right.
You need knowledge in everything.
That's right.
You don't have to be the master.
Exactly.
You can be a gift giver to every aspect of life.
Wow.
I respect. That's what he really is.
Yeah.
Because he's not operating in just one field. He might be a master barber, but guess what? He can touch areas and other areas that we need our youth. And look, I call on the men, instead of you talking about them young boys with their pants down, why don't you give them a pair of pants and a belt? And all you women who talk about the young women, and especially I'm going to go back to the Olympics right quick.
Okay,
with our girl, with our girl that won the gold medals.
Yeah.
It was a shameful aspect that black women were talking about how nappy her hair was when she was fighting so hard to win the gold.
Exactly,
I'm going to leave it like that.
Mr. Savory, once again, you were a fantastic guest. I truly appreciate you traveling from Chicago to be on Real Talk with Traci. My girl, Julie. Julie, get on the mic right quick, because we got to close this out together. Julie, what you think about today's show?
Oh, man, I'm so full. I mean, this has been one of the best shows that we've had so far.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm trying real hard to put this together, and I feel like it's been very successful thus far.
Yes.
We still got a long way to go, and thank God for this station allowing us and giving us this platform as well.
Yes.
They let me put together, they let me put together this, man, why you show me this picture when I'm on air? You know what I'm saying? You're going to make me cry. This is great. They let me put together this show, and they let me put it together on my own platform.
Yes.
And they even offered me another day last week. You know what I'm saying? Told me they might need me to come in here more than on Sunday. Exactly.
That's God.
Exactly. And so he's expanding my territory.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Hey, I appreciate it. Everybody, keep your heads up, young people. Just keep your heads up, especially to our young black males. I know that at times seem tough and everything, and it seems like there's no means to an end, but there's always a means to an end.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for being on the show.
You're welcome.
You're a great guest.
Thank you.
I hope the show pleased you.
You know I'm coming back.
And you're going to have to come back.
Yeah, and look, I want everybody to go to thesavoryfiles.org.
Exactly.
Let's put my
Give me your
name
information right quick.
Okay, the Savory Files, TheSavory, Files, FILES, .org.
That's right. And everybody Saturday, August 30th at McAllister Square, 3rd Annual Multicultural Festival kicks off at 3 p.m. be here. Free community event is indoors. Bring the kids, bring your family. We're going to have food. We're going to have fun. We're going to celebrate each other multiculturally. Real Talk with Traci. We out.
Yes.